So when you open After Effects, this is the first thing you'll see. We get new composition and composition from footage. This is if you want to do something custom. This is going to take the data from footage you've chosen and copy that. So that will be the resolution and the frame rate. I'm going to go with this one. And as soon as I import my footage, it will be exactly the right length of the footage. The frame rate will be the same in the composition and the footage, and the resolution will be the same as well. But the first thing you want to do is trim your footage, because you've got a bunch of dead space at the start before he walks, and then at the end he just starts milling about. What are you doing, man? So I'm going to go to the frame just before he enters. Then what I'm going to do is drag from the left until I get there, and then move that to the beginning. Or if you do Control-Shift-D, then it will split it wherever your cursor is. And then move your footage to the beginning like so. Then I want it to end before he starts milling about like a chump. So what you do is you go to composition and settings, and then however long you want it to be, so that's 700, you type here 700 and press enter, and there we go, we've trimmed our footage. How wonderful. The next thing, my dude's on a green screen. No one wants to see the green screen because we're doing some After Effects today. So you're going to go to your Effects and Presets window. This is the most important window in After Effects. And I'm going to search for Key Light. Drag that onto my footage down here. Then you're going to use this eyedropper. Pick a nice neutral green. But when you click it, you're going to think, oh, that's so messy. Why don't I use the one in Premiere, which is so much better? Well, it's because After Effects doesn't do a better job immediately, but that's because it wants you to play with the settings. After you've done that, it will do a much better job than Premiere. So I like to switch it from Final Result to Combined Matte in this tab here. And what that is going to do is show your alpha channel. And an alpha channel is the channel of what will appear and what won't. It's going to sort of transition with the opacity according to how bright that pixel is. And we want a solid silhouette here, and we want to get rid of these shadows. So I'm going to go to where it says Screen Matte. We're going to bring Clip Black up. That's going to crush these black shapes. If you do Clip White, that's going to crush the white. And now, wonderful, we've got this beautiful silhouette of our Bond man. Let's just have a quick scroll through. Wonderful. Oh, fan-dabby doozy. Now, there are a couple of things left, like, why have we got a ceiling that isn't green and we seem to have these pieces of tape? We're going to solve those with masks. So what we're going to do, you can draw a mask two ways. There's the pen tool, or there's the pre-arranged shapes. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this piece of tape. So I'm going to use the ellipse tool, make sure my footage is selected. Then I'm going to go down here, click and drag, and then hold Shift to keep it as a perfect circle. If I let go of Shift, you can deform it, but I want it to be a perfect circle, so I'm going to do a bit of that. Masks, by default in After Effects, define the borders of your footage. So if I switch to Source, so you can see what you're doing, that's going to show you the footage without any effects on. That's created a new border for our footage, so you can only see that circle. I prefer to use it as a subtraction. So I'm going to switch this. Instead of only adding what you've got, it's going to take away what you've selected. You can see that little piece of tape is gone, but we've still got a ceiling. This time the rectangle tool, make sure my footage is selected, and click and drag, switch to subtract. There we go. Now we've got our geezer. So he walks there, but I want him to end up in the middle of the screen. There's two ways to move it, click and drag, which we can do, or if you press these arrows, you get this transform. There's your position, your scale, rotation, you know, so you can do whatever you like here. And then at the bottom, you've got opacity, so we can make him transparent. Right, now I'm going to go to Final Result. And we're perfectly keyed, our Bond, and he's in the middle. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a white layer to go behind him, because I want it to be a sort of white screen. Creating layers is super easy. You go up to Layer, you click New, and you click Solid. You can pick your color here, you can call it whatever you like. After Effects doesn't like white, so it's going to call it Pale Magenta Solid, but this is a white color. And we're going to press OK. Just to put it behind, we're going to click and drag underneath our footage. And now our Man Bun boy is walking in from the right, ending up in the middle of the screen. I quite like the idea of him being a silhouette, but I don't want the white one that we had earlier from our combined matte. I'm going to create a new layer. This time it's going to be black. We want this in front of our bond. Now we want our matte to be taken from bond's layer to the black solid. So we're going to use another effect. This time it's going to be set matte. And we're going to take matte from layer, pick our footage, but our footage without any effects on is a full square. So we need to make sure that the matte it's taking comes from the effects and masks, and that's going to take for your key light. And if I turn the visibility back on, here we go, we've got our silhouette, but they're in different places. So what we're going to do, we're going to press P to pull up the position, and you've got these spirals at the end here, and they're called pick whips. And basically if I click and drag from here to here, now wherever I move the footage, our solid is going to copy it, and we've got this beautiful perfect silhouette walking in, shooting the camera. But that's not interesting enough, because what I want you guys to be able to do is to animate some shapes. So again, we need a black solid layer, new solid, and it's already there. And I would like the classic Bond circle to come around him, and I'm going to do that with masks because we already know what we're doing with those. So I'm going to make sure the right solid is selected. I'm going to hold shift and have a circle. I'm going to turn off the visibility so that I can position my mask how I would like it, and then turn it back on. And you can see that the mask is doing the same thing as before. It's adding, whereas I want it to subtract. Then we're going to go to what's called our mask path. Our mask path is like a shape memory. So if we add a keyframe by pressing the stopwatch here, and then we go to another one and move it around a bit, then it's going to remember where it was at each keyframe, and it's going to transition between them perfectly. Now I don't want it to do this because that is ugly. What I want it to do is sort of zoom in from outside. So I'm going to double click on one of my joints, and you'll see this box. Zoom out a bit, hold in shift because I want to maintain that circular form. I'm going to make it bigger than the screen. And now it comes in nice and quick, just like that. The last thing I want to do is make it look like it's got a bit of motion blur. So what we've got here is our mask feather. That's how soft the edges are. So I'm going to add a keyframe when it stops moving. So that's here. And I don't want any feather, so I'll keyframe at 0. And then if I move back one frame, turn up the feathering a bit, it looks like when it comes in you've got that motion blur, and then it stops at rest. So now we've created our simple little Bond animatic. This is really simple, but it's also really useful because if you follow it along, then what you've done is you've animated shapes, you know how to create solids of different colors, you know how to interpret mattes from different layers, and fundamentally you know where the effects and preset menu is, so you can experiment and do absolutely anything you like in After Effects. It's quite a daunting piece of software, but if you know the principles to create this, then it is super simple to figure out how to create something more complicated, like, I don't know, an intro sequence.